Hi there, it's Ken Hoeverman. I'm the president of the Ontario Federation of Trail Riders, inside motorcycle or inside track communications and inside Moto X and off-road. Thought it might be nice to do a video about the OFTR and what we do here, a little bit of what we've been doing, what we're doing right now, and what we hope to accomplish in the next year or two or our future. So we're going to get started. We're going to show you some of the things we've accomplished and maybe go for a trail ride. So one of the things that we've been working with is trying to get other users of Crown Land trails to act in a more sustainable manner and to preserve our trails, especially in the springtime. So in the province of Ontario, there's 47 stewardship councils. I sit on one council within Haliburton County, and we got together with the ATVs and the snowmobiles and the four-wheel drive trucks and some other concerned people, and we came up with an idea to start educating off-road vehicle recreationists about springtime riding. You know, the general notion that it's too wet before a certain time to go riding. The rut that we create in the spring is the rut that we ride all summer. So the partnership was very successful, and it was done with the MNR. And I'll show you this sign that you've probably seen on some of the Crown Land trails up in Haliburton County. What's important about it is that the trail should not be used before May 1st. We decided on that wording because really we're asking for the reasonability of the enthusiast, much like we did with sound 6 or 7 years ago, where we said your bike should not be loud. Now we'll tell you we don't want your bike to be loud at all, or we'll just tell you to make it quiet. So the notion is that we're trying a soft approach to land stewardship. The most important part of this poster is the partnerships. So through the Haliburton Stewardship Council, the Haliburton ATV Association, the Ontario Four-Wheel Drive Association, the Ontario Federation of Trail Rides, under the common goal of tread lightly, we produced this sign. The biggest logo and the most important logo is that this is supported by the Ministry of Natural Resources. So it indicates that we have a partnership between the user groups and the land agency in order to preserve our trails. So here's a little bit about what we're doing now. Most of the trails in Ontario are on Crown land, and there's a general agreement by everyone that if we keep managing them the way we are, that they won't be there in 20 years. If you ride on Crown land in Ontario, there's a great deal of impact and no opportunity to sustain the trail. The main process, or the main problem as we see it, is that to apply for an approval or a permit to move a trail or create a trail or repair a trail takes far too long. So what we've been putting together is an approach to the Ministry of Natural Resources, the municipalities, and the other provincial user groups to try to develop a series of standards whereby we can all sort of work from the same prayer book as far as getting trails repaired and sustainable. So right now we've been to a couple of ministry offices, and they like the idea of some managed recreation workshops. And what these are workshops put on by the National Off-Highway Vehicle Conservation Council out of the USA. And they've been held in British Columbia, Alberta, and most of the states. And what winds up happening is the land agencies, in our case the MNR, and some municipalities, learn more about OHV and recreation than the enthusiasts, us, and the enthusiasts wind up learning more about the concerns of the agency and the land managers. And the result of these workshops has been, for some states and provinces, a series of trail planning, design, and development guidelines, such as this one for the state of Minnesota. So 5 years ago, Minnesota had no OHV recreation program. They had no process for maintaining or creating trails and no staff. Now they have a self-supporting trails program in the state of Minnesota that includes enforcement. So these are great books, and we're taking this to some of these agencies, and we're saying, well, while we may or may not agree with everything in this book, we'd like to create a similar book within Ontario so that we can start maintaining and sustaining our trails better. this process hopefully will come to fruition sometime in the next 3 to 6 months. If you're a member of the OFTR, you've certainly been through our membership processing system. And while it's not bad, it's not the best from the administrative side. One of the problems we get after you've joined is that we don't know if you're new, we don't know if your address has changed, and we don't know how to manage you as a family very well. So the OFTR has embarked on a new process of membership management, and you'll be seeing this in the next couple of months, where for your 2013 membership, there'll be an entirely new way of joining that will, A, remember who you are, remember who your family members are, whether or not your family member is over or under 16, and also allow you to automatically renew your membership rather than having to renew each year. You'll get automatic reminders. The other nice thing that once this system is in place is we'll be able to create a private members login area so that we can provide more access to the trail maps and information we have for trails around Ontario. It also includes a forum and a shopping cart. So stay tuned for that, and certainly be patient when it first goes up. Alright, so we're actually standing on the site of the Enduro cross test of the Corduroy Enduro up here in Goodham, Ontario. And this area was normally used as a derby pit for demolition derbies. And then the kids of the neighborhood, who are all driving motorcycles and ATVs, often came in here to rip around the derby pit and have some fun. And there's never really been any problems with it, so it's always been allowed. This year I went to council and I suggested to them that we leave the majority of the obstacles from the Corduroy Enduro cross test so that the children could A, play on them, but also that it would be much safer. What the kids used to do was, being a large flat area, is they would get into third or fourth gear, create ramps and jumps and try to get airtime, which of course is fun for kids. Now what they're doing is they're trying to jump this log on their ATV or motorcycle, and mostly because people like Chris Birch and Patrick Poulet and Alan LaChapelle, their heroes, had done the same thing, and they were here watching the event. So you know, as Jeff pans around, you can see that, you know, to get up any speed is difficult, but to improve your skills is certainly there. You know, you got this big log here, you've got log step-ups, turns, whoops. It's not a designed play area for children, but it certainly has become one, and hopefully maybe the ground sets the groundwork for some urban OHV parks, which are very popular in the United States. So as you can see by the fresh tracks, the kids are here almost every night. Noise is not a problem. We're out in the middle of behind the community center, and parents, we've had a few parents ask us how they can buy motorcycles for their children. So we think this is a big success. Here we are at the entrance, the northern entrance to some crown land around Haliburton County called the 5 Points. And I was able to get here from the OFTR headquarters because my motorcycle has been registered as a motorcycle in the province of Ontario, and I have a motorcycle license and insurance. My riding partner, though, is a little more sketchy and has asked me not to use his real name, so let's just call him Harvey Mushman. So Harvey and I rode down here, and Harvey has a motorcycle license. Harvey's got all his riding gear on. He appears to be sober and has insurance and has registered his motorcycle, but he couldn't register it as a motorcycle. He had to register it as an off-road vehicle. When he did that, by the way, the plate that he was issued came from the same pile as the ATV plates. Harvey, of course, wants to comply as best he can, but currently Ontario can't seem to figure out that a qualified motorcyclist on a safe motorcycle can't get from point A to point B, but an unqualified ATV operator who simply has a driver's license may freely go from town to town where a municipality allows it. Alright, so from the half-kilometer video that we just shot, you probably saw that we went through 4 water holes on this Crown Land Trail. And waters can be okay, provided the bottoms are nice and hard. What I happen to know about these particular holes is that they're very soft and deep in the middle, and the person who's filming this actually watered their bike out on the corduroy just by choosing a bad line, not knowing where the good lines are. The point we're trying to make with the ministry is that this is a relatively standard problem on Crown land, and there are 3 or 4 standard solutions to this problem. The first one would be to break away this dam that's occurred on my right-hand side here and let the water drain out. In order to do that, we have to get a permit. The permit could take more than a year. The other thing to do would be to fill this with some trail hardening rubble or rock and raise the surface so that the water drains away. The third option, and hopefully Jeff can follow me here, is that off on this side, we actually have some higher ground. And a common solution to these types of problems is to stop and take a look. And is there a way to actually take the trail off the lowest part of the terrain and put it up onto high ground? And what that would then do is allow us to create what's called a bench trail. The problem with a bench trail in the eyes of some agencies is that we need to bring a bulldozer in here and make a properly designed trail cut into rock and dirt. So what we're hoping to do is to educate the land agencies and educate the trail users that, simply riding through this or maybe putting in a culvert that's going to break and not last is not a permanent solution. There are methods and standards that have been, and best practices from other states and provinces that we'd like to see our agencies and our enthusiasts come together, agree upon, so that we can get the approval to fix this in a reasonable time, perhaps 90 days. So we're still on Crown land, and although we talk poorly about the trails on Crown land and how they're falling to pieces and everything's ruined, that's kind of an exaggeration. We're actually on the same trail. The puddle we had talked about before is behind us, and this section of trail, these few hundred feet, is actually quite sustainable and quite usable. This trail is heavily used. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm on dirt, but I can't really make a big mark in it. There's no crowned ruts. There's no real big evidence of 4x4s or ATVs or even motorcycles. There's lots of rock on this trail, which makes it, again, a nice hardened surface for sustainability. So when we do talk about Crown land problems, it's not all 100% bad. There's certainly something to work with. So the majority of the trails in pieces are certainly sustainable. It's just the areas of concern that we're trying to get fixed. Hi. So we're standing on a municipal road allowance in the municipality of Highlands East. And what's important about this road allowance is it used to be a wonderful way to get from the town of Gooderham to the trailhead of the rail trail, which we're allowed to ride here in this municipality. Through some lobbying through the Trails Committee and some talking to council and demonstrating the importance of trails and connectivity to towns, the municipalities decided to invest some money in this road allowance. We used to be able to get right through, but it was found out that the trail went on the road allowance and then onto someone's private property and then onto someone else's private property. So the municipality is paying and funded to recreate the road allowance on some relatively rugged terrain here. So there'll be some bulldozers here in the next couple of weeks to basically reopen the road allowance for snowmobiles, ATVs, mountain bikers, off-road motorcyclists, and so on. The important part there's just two important things to talk about here. One is that the allowance is being opened up so the linkage can reoccur and the town can thrive. Secondly is that it's a municipal initiative. It's not a trails initiative. It's not something put forth by the motorcycles or the snowmobiles or the ATVs. This is the municipality making a decision that a trail was good for their community. Another project we're working on, and something we think that all trail users in Ontario should get behind, and perhaps Canada, is an organization called Tread Lightly. And Tread Lightly is an education organization that talks to all trail users, motorized and non-motorized, and also hunting and fishing and boating, on how to utilize outdoor natural resources in the most respectable way, how to not have a large impact on trails, what are the best practices, how to stop spreading invasive species, so on and so forth. One of the things we like about it, and the OFTR has been a member for many years, is they actually have a pamphlet on dirt biking that talks about the best way and the most environmentally friendly way to ride your off-road motorcycle on trails. And they have the same thing for ATVs and trucks and so on. So we're currently assisting in the revival of Tread Lightly Canada, and we're trying to reincorporate it as a charity, and we certainly will be one of the first members of Tread Lightly Canada once it gets incorporated. When it does get incorporated, there will be some announcements, and there are individual memberships. We're going to strongly encourage our members and other people that use trails to join Tread Lightly Canada. So be sure to check it out.